a couple of, maybe more, a bunch of game developers drinking tea and talking about game dev. I'm your host for today, Fauzi Mesmar.
With his own
This
voice.
is your worst intro. The worst intro I've heard in a long time. It's like a bunch of developers drinking tea. Not even Arab tea. There's no Arabs that like
There's no Arab.
Mafish Arabi in it. Like there's nothing.
Wait, that did say a bunch of Arab game developers.
You said Arab game development, not Arab tea. We normally say Arab tea.
Yeah, yes, exactly. Well, because
But
last
Fauzi,
time it wasn't
Let's
three
not-
game developers. That's why.
Let's not talk about it. Let's not talk about it. Let's talk about the important thing. We're very sorry about Osama doing such poor impersonation of you.
I'm not sorry. I think I did a great job by the end of it.
Okay. Everybody who listened was very sorry. But we hope you forgive us.
I saw a lot of messages saying that they were convinced Fauzi was on the episode. So there.
That was hysterical.
Sorry, did you mean
That was hysterical. That was hysterical.
there we go. There we go.
There was a
Beautiful.
part of me that was like, "Oh, man, this is how I sound to those people." but I listened to the podcast. I don't sound like this, or do I?
I'm just really bad with impersonations. But whatever, I'll get better. Because
All right.
said, it can't get worse.
The thing is, like today, I'm off script with the intro and all. Is because last week there were two Arab developers drinking tea, and today it's not just three; it's four of us.
Yes.
So, like, we have the usual Destiny pilot, Rami Ismail.
Assalamu alaikum.
And we have the best impersonator in show business, Osama Dorias.
Assalamu alaikum. That's my best Fauzi voice. I'm back to square one.
It's back
That's
to it
my
again.
best Fauzi voice. Back to square one.
But we also have a guest today, a returning guest, Ahmed Salama. Hello.
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 Nice to be back.
ازيك؟
أنا مية مية.
عامل ايه؟
Mia, mia.
مية. 100.
Yalla, let's go.
100.
This is my first time with Ahmed on this podcast because last time he replaced me.
Oh yeah, you weren't
Right.
there last time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He should have done an Osama impersonation.
Oh god. No.
There's still time.
Yeah.
It's
It's
very
very
Osama
Related,
impersonation.
yeah.
Just go like, I'm like, that's it. You just do that somewhere in the background, and you're good.
You have to throw a bunch of dad jokes in. So
Right.
I
your
love
best
that,
dad
Brad.
jokes.
I love it. Segue into laughs. Perfect.
Dad jokes and the laughs.
Yeah.
I mean,
the dad jokes.
I'm besides Osama, I'm the other dad here. So yeah, right.
Yeah, it works.
Yeah,
Oh.
so we had a dad replacement back then.
Kids are basically interchangeable anyway, so it works.
Kids, podcasts, like, I don't have kids, but I imagine it to be the exact same thing.
I'm sure it is.
So how y'all doing?
You-
Rami, do you have any pop exams coming out of nowhere?
Do I have any what coming out of nowhere?
Pop
Pop
exams
quiz.
like surprise pop quiz.
Oh, no. But I have a cool thing with the aviation stuff. I'm in Vegas, and I'm gonna be in San Francisco. No, sorry, not San Francisco. I'm gonna be in Los Angeles, and I'm also gonna be in Scotland in the next few weeks.
What is happening?
And
Whoa.
well,
All over the
events
place.
are happening again.
Oh, wow.
And one thing that I do now is I just email to an airfield and just go like, "Hey, could I fly with you?
Hey,
Like,
I'm an
is there
Arab. Let me into
instructor?"
the air. Give me a plane.
السلام عليكم. أنا اسمي رامي إبراهيم محمود حنفي إسماعيل منصور علي فرير.
How is
You
that
have
a
an
thing?
airplane.
How is that a thing that's allowed?
Yeah. Anyway, so I just email to airports now and just go like, "Hey, do you have a flight instructor that I can fly with?" And so far, Vegas has said yes, LA has said yes, and Scotland has said
Oh, wow.
yes. So if the weather is good,
Wow.
I'm going to be flying all over the world soon.
Oh, that's incredible.
That's
Not like
great.
actually flying all over the world. I'm going to go all over the world and then flying in those places.
Actually, speaking of aviation, did you see Netflix? They just dropped a documentary today about the 737 MAX. The whole.
Oh, I saw that.
Yeah, I watched it.
Yeah.
I
Oh, I haven't watched it yet.
watched it.
I have a lot of flights ahead, so I'm keeping it.
Or you want to watch it in the air? Like,
Yeah, of course.
No.
Like an Arab watching like airplane incidents in the air. What can go wrong?
You know what's
This is like that time I was doing Ramadan and I had like the countdown timer to
Yes.
food. And it was not good. It was very uncomfortable to realize I'm an Arab with a laptop with a big timer. It's going like 1 hour, 1 minute, 1 hour and 0 minutes.
And then all the Arabs around you go, Allahu Akbar, stand
You know, I used to work for a company that made in-flight entertainment, like games on airplanes,
Yeah.
right? And did I mention what kind of game? Look, basically we didn't work for a video game company. It was an in-flight entertainment company that happened to make video games. So they were very hands-off. We were able to make pretty much any games we wanted, and they went into the catalog. Other than the games having to be G, because all flights have kids on them. Do you know what other restriction that we had? The one that really stood out?
What was it?
no bombs.
Well, yeah, no explosives at all, but that's part of being rated G. The
Yeah.
other thing is you cannot have airplanes fly anywhere close to a building
Oh,
Right.
yeah, that makes sense.
in your game at all, in any way, shape, or form.
So wait, I mean, Luftrausers wasn't G-rated, but there were no buildings.
There you go.
So would that have worked?
There are explosives, so no, it wouldn't
Fair.
work.
What if we exchange those with cotton candy?
Yes, actually,
Cloud.
then we could make it work.
Standing cloud.
Hello, tamam. We're done. But yeah, so no real axioms coming up. I started on my. I don't know if I talked about this last episode because it was kind of in a weird place in time. But I started my radio telephony practical course,
Ooh.
Okay.
which basically means that I'm now practicing. How I'm supposed to sound on the radio and what I'm supposed to say on the radio.
Can you give us a test?
Yeah.
Like, yeah, sure. Hilversum Radio, Papa Hotel Whiskey Mike Alpha, radio check on frequency 131.050.
Ah, that
Now
sounds
can you
pro.
do it in Fauzi's voice?
Hilversum Radio, Papa Hotel Whiskey Mike Alpha.
No,
Radio
it's
check on
Fauzi. I was
frequency
asking
131.
Rami, Fauzi. Stop.
Please. It'd be a miracle if they let any one of you guys land anywhere.
All runways
Hilversum
are busy.
Radio,
Super
Papa Hotel
well.
Whiskey Mike Alpha. Assalamu alaikum. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Radio check on.
The runways are
Gonna go
busy.
really well.
Please
Agent
divert
Smith, we have
to-
a high-pitched Arab attempting landing.
So I'm starting to do that, and it's really I find the logistics of this whole aviation thing so fascinating. So many systems that exist just to make things be safe and efficient, but also make them so that you can do them even when you're under pressure. Obviously, the last few days, the weather in Europe was absolutely abysmal.
Yeah.
And I don't know if you saw that Twitch stream, the big jet guy.
Yeah, it did. Yeah.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
I now have a vague idea of what happens in those cockpits during those approaches, and it makes it worth watching
Yeah.
Oh my God.
because they're in control. It's fine, but also how hard they're fighting to keep that airplane like going straight and at the runway.
Yeah.
And how much they need to do, and how much talking is happening, and how much like communication, and how much aviation, and how much navigation is happening. Like if you miss that approach at the Heathrow, they have that the person who was filming it. They have a 3 landing rule, so you can attempt 3 times.
And what then? Then you're out? Like, what do you do then?
Yeah,
you don't land anymore?
Yeah, you don't land at Heathrow. You divert to another airport.
Okay. So they send you away.
Right. But yeah, then basically just the conditions aren't favorable for your airplane landing there. So instead of like trying that for another hour, just
Yeah. That
Find
makes
somewhere
sense.
else.
Heathrow is busy.
it's a busy airport, and it's limited in runways. So like it's also limited in versatility of runways. I think they have two parallel runways.
I mean, I don't know about you guys, but if I was on one of those flights, I'd be clapping after the landing. Not because I'm Arab.
No,
Not,
we're also
It's
Arabs.
an Arab world thing,
Yeah,
exactly.
They have to
I think
Yeah.
it's the kind of thing where Arabs now clap on Arab flights or Arab appropriate flights,
Yep,
you know?
yep.
And then if you fly to the US, you just do nothing. You just sit there and you're like, wow, we did 4 loopings and evaded a fire volcano. I'm just not going to attract any attention whatsoever and just sit here.
My favorite thing to do on an Arab flight and everyone is clapping is to look around for the white people and see how they react. They always have this look of shock on their face, like, oh, what's happening? They're looking for a performer or something walking down the aisle.
Italians
pretty
do it too. In Italy, they clap as well.
Oh, yeah.
Well, but I don't know if you've ever done the Milan approach, but like you can clap after that one.
No.
They just drop the airplane from like 30 meters up over a forest. They're like, yep, we're over the forest. Turn it off.
Oh my God.
I think that is one of the most terrifying approaches I've ever seen. And it's just like, yep, okay, we're over the forest. We can get down to the ground now. And it's like not a smooth landing.
So Rami, do you like go on YouTube now and like watch approaches?
Oh yeah, all the time. And I watch incidents, and I watch crash investigations.
Wow.
I watch procedures. I watch. There's this really cool. If you ever have some time, and you wanna see something funny, look up a guy by the name of Kennedy Steve.
Okay.
Steve was an ATC controller over at JFK Airport. And he was really funny, which is really impressive because ATC is obviously a very important job. But one of my favorites was when a pilot accidentally broadcast the landing thing that you say to the passengers on the airplane radio to ATC.
Oh no!
And all the other pilots are obviously listening on the same frequency because there's a frequency for something, and you all go on that frequency, and there can only be one person transmitting on that frequency.
Oh, no.
At a time.
So while this guy is doing this, like, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to New York. The temperature is 70 degrees, and nobody else can actually talk about important stuff.
Oh my God.
It's a
And
disaster.
then 1 second, 10 minutes later, and now to translate in another language.
Right.
Oh, no.
So he did that announcement, and then this Kennedy Steve, who's an ATC, just basically comes on, and this goes like, okay, let the abuse start, y'all. You're not going to let him get away with this. And it just tells all the pilots to give this guy just the absolute worst time. And there's just like pilots coming in and go like, what was the temperature again? And this guy just so funny. Like he's like conversations with like the tugs, like the little carts that go around the airport. And just one of them calls in and it's like, Delta Tug 4. He's got like, oh, Delta Tug 4, you're my favorite. Tug goes like, oh, actually, I'm Delta Tug 7. He just goes like, well, 4 is my favorite, but 7, you can go, and just continues. It's just very lighthearted. He's kind of a hero to me.
So what's your end goal? What do you want to do? Do you want to go PPL, or do you want to do a commercial license as well? Or?
Yeah, so I'm looking to do PPO, which is your private pilot's license, right? Which allows you to fly, but not at a profit. And I want to get some additional ratings. So I want to get my night rating. I want to get my mountain rating. I want to get my instrument rating eventually. I don't think I'm going to hop to commercial because it's not really a goal of mine. But what I do want to do is basically be able to do exactly what I'm doing now, which is I want to fly somewhere, with a commercial jet and then just go like, I would like to fly here. And then just grab an airplane, rent it, and fly.
So Rami, tell me this. If you get your license and then, we talk enough about flying on this podcast that Boeing decides to sponsor us, well, that means it becomes for profit and you lose your license? Or this is too meta?
No. No. So that doesn't matter. The only thing you can't get paid for is the flight itself.
So if
you can split the bill.
So if you have a 747 and you're not getting paid for flying it around, you can fly it?
Technically, I mean, I would need a 747 rating.
Okay, so you need to be rated for the plane.
Right.
Okay.
But technically, you're allowed to fly. You're allowed to fly that if you have the rating. I just don't know how you would get access to a 747
like
where
the-
you don't make a
The
profit.
Iron
but-
Maiden guy has one, right? What's his name?
Right.
Bruce.
Yeah, Bruce. He has one.
Well,
So can he fly that with a PPL then?
If he has a PPL and a 747 rating, then
wow.
yeah, you can fly it.
Yeah, because he flies his own jet. He like the tour jet.
Yeah. So does Aaron Ford, and he managed to land on a taxiway.
Yeah.
That's a real story.
Oh, wow.
He's-
On purpose?
Yeah, that's a real, no. He was aiming at the runway, and somehow he ended up on the taxiway.
Oh no!
Wow.
Yep. But yeah, so I listen to ATC videos and all sorts of things, and it's a really fun part of my life now where I'm curious and there's so much to learn. And there's so many people in games that are also aviators,
Oh yeah.
which surprised me.
I know 2 at least, actually.
Yeah,
Right.
Tim,
right?
So it's super fun.
Yeah, Tim is one of them, yeah.
Yeah. So that's just been really fun. Like I've just, gone to meet people, have a hobby that isn't just video games, but also have enough overlap with games that it's still sort of an interesting subject to most of my followers. So yeah, just having really fun, learning how to do radio right now, and it's been great.
That's very cool.
That's awesome.
How about y'all?
Yeah, Ahmed, what have you been up to?
I have been playing Horizon, Horizon Forbidden West.
I've heard
Oh,
of that.
me too.
Yeah.
Wait, you worked on the first one, right, Ahmed?
Yeah, I did. I worked on Zero Dawn, so I worked on that project for, I guess, around 4.5 years, which is
Wow.
quite some time. So
Wow.
so yeah, I know the team pretty well, and I also know a lot about Horizon and how it came to be and stuff like that. But yeah, it's this game is so great. Like I've been playing it nonstop whenever I have time. Because, as said before, I'm a parent, so
And it's a big game. Like I always look to see what I'm getting myself into, and it's apparently between 25 and 42 hours or something like that. That's the range.
yeah,
It's
it was
not a small game.
the first one was like that too. It was like I think you could finish it in 30 hours if you're like so it respects your time a bit, but you can also like lose yourself in it if you want. If you want to do a 90-hour run or 100 hours, you can. So yeah, that's nice.
Absolutely loved Zero Dawn. It was such a good game, and it took me by surprise. I didn't know, like going in, I was like, oh, okay, let's see what this is going to be like. But like I was hooked. It had its hooks in me really, really, really quickly. I loved so many aspects of it. So kudos for that.
Sorry to say, like I couldn't play it. I played.
Oh, no, of course.
I think I put so many hours into the game that I couldn't. When it came out, I think I played the first hour or like 2 hours. Like I think
I never finished it.
no.
Oh, I finished it.
No, I loved it. I loved the game a lot, but there is this basically this stretch after Meridian.
Mm-hmm.
There's like a stretch that's just kind of long
Mm-hmm.
and not much was happening, and I kind of bounced off of the game at that
You
point.
have to travel a lot all the way to the north, kind of, and
Yeah, and it was kind of very similar to how in The Witcher 3 you have the Bloody Baron quest, and then you have to go halfway across the map.
yeah.
Oh yeah.
And those moments always lose me in games like that. So I would say like I was a good 70% into the game, but I bounced then, and then I actually only for the first time ever saw the ending of Horizon when my mom finished the game.
Oh wow, yeah, cool.
So I was just watching my mom's be like, I don't know what happens here. This is very exciting.
No,
My mom's like, wait.
I watched the ending. I think so. So I knew the story, of course, way before the game came out. So I think like a week before the game came out or something, I played the last 2 hours in the game just to fix stuff, and
Right.
so I knew what happened. And actually, the story of this game, I know start to end. I've known for like 5 years already too, and
Right.
so there's no Horizon freshness for me, like until
Right.
It's interesting because you said you couldn't play it after. I think that's a default. I think game devs have a very hard time playing the games they worked on when they release. At least that's my experience.
I mean, so it depends. Like Killzone, when I worked on Killzone Shadowfall, I played a bunch of multiplayer. The single player I didn't, but the multiplayer I played tons of that.
I was about to say it's my experience as well. Multiplayer, like once you're playing with other players and you've been playing with devs the entire time, it's a very different game almost.
Yeah, true. And with a game like Killzone, which is not very Twitch, like it was kind of slower paced, so it was fun to play. But true, like single player games like Horizon or other single player games I've worked on, nope. Like yeah.
I'm glad y'all worked on them because God, Horizon is pretty.
Yeah,
it's
it's beautiful.
gorgeous.
Gorgeous.
Unreasonably pretty.
Yeah. It's this game is so beautiful, and from a technology standpoint, I mean, it's incredible. The tech is incredible. The art is incredible when it comes to characters, environments.
I played it on a PS5 and I've booted it up on a PS4 Pro, and they both look incredible.
Yeah.
But still, the PS5 version,
Yeah.
like the level of detail in that, just Aloy's face. Like I'm not going to finish this game either, not because there's a long stretch, but because I can't get out of photo mode. Every 5 steps, I'm like, oh, that's pretty. Wait, give me a second.
Yeah.
And then like 25 minutes later, and 11 screenshots richer. I'm like, okay, let's. Oh wait, that's pretty too. Let's take.
That team has so many experts. Like they have, and that's kind of Horizon, or sorry, Guerrilla. They are like a team of experts. So there's a dude called Andrew, for instance, who works on the clouds, a VFX guy, a principal VFX artist, and he's been working on the clouds for those 2 games for like 8 years now. So can you imagine? He has a PhD in making Horizon skies, and then you have people that work on the face shaders and stuff and the faces. Yeah. There's one dude, like I think his name was Lucas or something. He sat behind me, and on his screen, literally, you just see faces all day, all night, like all year. 2 years, 3 years, just random faces. He generates them and then fixes them, and all the skin tones. Like you can see how the skin tones, how beautiful they are, and all the lips and freckles, and it's just.
Does he ever troll you and just put a photo of your face on the screen?
No.
That's what I would have done.
AAA game dev is like wild. I know a person who worked for 11 years or 10 or 11 years on Far Cry integrating barks. Like he's a specialist in integrating barks in Far Cry.
And for the not game developers, barks are like repeatable phrases that characters will say.
Sorry, yes, I should have.
I mean, before people just go like, "Wow, there's somebody."
There's a lot of dogs in Far Cry.
A lot of dogs. I don't remember them being like, "Can I pet them?" Okay, so okay, you implemented the but before the next milestone, we really
for 11 years. For 11 years, I've been rough. Yeah. But it's incredible. Like they are so great, and this game, like, I mean, I can talk about it forever. I mean, there's a lot of great stuff there. There's also some stuff where I was like, oh, like I wish they would have done better. But in general, like the game is very good, and I think everybody should buy it or play it.
So far, I've had I had a little bit of trouble with finding climbing spots sometimes.
Yeah,
but beyond that, it's been a very smooth experience.
Yeah, like my main gripes, and I don't have many because the game is very good. Like mostly come in design, like the game design. I have some problems with the game design, but. And a little bit in the narrative as well. Like, and not by the narrative, I don't mean the story, because the story is fine, but just how Aloy kind of is portrayed in this game. The acting is brilliant. The acting is really great, but I just the character, I just had some problem with it.
Interesting.
I'm curious. Yeah. I'll see what I find on the way there. I mean. Game is beautiful. Game sounds beautiful.
Yeah, incredible.
Game plays so smooth. So the music is incredible.
So I'm actually going to watch the economy of this one, like very, very closely, because I love the new skill trees. By the way, in principle, I don't have practical experience with them yet. I've only unlocked the 3 things that I've unlocked in the first couple hours that I played. But in the first Horizon, what I noticed was you could bypass the economy completely because you're able to buy like the most rare things right away. So the optimal way to play is don't spend anything until you could buy the very best thing and then buy it.
Yes, yeah, true.
And I can tell that like through production, something happened that caused that. Like there was a mistake or something, and you start seeing patterns, right?
Well,
So I'm
like,
sure that wasn't intended at the beginning.
It might also just be a very Dutch approach to stuff.
no, I think in that case specifically, like, yeah, there were so many parts moving,
Yeah.
and I think at some point, so I think at some point we had that you couldn't buy, like you from the for the same weapon type, you had to kind of upgrade your weapon along the rarities. So you had a green one, and then you get the rare one, and then you get the epic one. So you had to kind of progress through all of them. And I think at some point in the end, when we were playtesting, we found out that people weren't
Going through it.
yeah, going through it. They were just playing with their main bow or something, and that could have been solved in a lot of different ways. But I mean, this is the solution that ended up in the game. But
I understand game development. You try what you can with the time that you have, 100%. But it's like
On
the
that
one
note-
thing. Yeah.
On that note, so for our listeners who are not game developers, would you and for somebody who hasn't started playing this, so I think I'm the only one in this group that hasn't started playing this game. What can you tell me about this that is not a spoiler to get me in?
I can. Have you played the first one?
I'm like Rami. I played the first one, but I never finished it all the way.
Okay, so what I can say about this one, it's a continuation of the story. So it's the same story continuing. So for the people that finished the first and want to know what happens next, that's a no-brainer. You can just pick it up and play it. It is an action RPG, I guess, with a lean on action. So not really a lot of RPG, although this game goes deeper into that.
More,
Yeah. I do like. There's a lot of design sides of the game, like where I was like, why, and I couldn't find an answer, and I guess that's so. So there are things that are confused me a bit, but besides that, I mean, like we said before, everything about the game is great. So it's somewhere I read somewhere that it's like it's the greatest good game you can ever buy, and which I found was an interesting way to describe the game, because I don't feel it goes into the stratosphere like Ocarina of Time or something that's really like exceptional. I guess it doesn't do that, but it does. It is really good, and
Very few games do.
yes, exactly. But the problem with this game is that it has the potential. Like, all the parts are there. So that's the bit that I guess to people like me is frustrating, because I've worked on it, and it's like, oh, like if only those couple of things were more streamlined, then this would have gone like beyond, if you know what I mean, like just like Ocarina of Time and those kind of games.
Which is always the game dev experience too. When you release a game, you know what it could have been, because you know the things you had to cut or you didn't have time to polish. But the players don't, in general, but even the ones that think they do.
Like I said, I was just instantly back in like collecting Richwood. So I'm just like running past stuff and just go like, there's a tree.
It's satisfying.
There's a tree. I cut it. There's a tree. I cut it. Also, accessibility in this game is really good this time around.
Yeah, they've done some really great work. It's the first PlayStation game to have Copilot, which is really great. Like, so that's amazing achievement.
For those who don't know, Copilot, it means a second player on a second controller can assist you. They can use it.
Or a single player that has maybe a disability, one arm or something, can use a second pad with a different limb to help. And that is amazing. Really great. Yeah, it's really great. So
the one that I've never seen before that I really appreciated is you could turn on the visuals for annotations in the game to keep them on all the time. So you could actually see which walls are climbable, which ledges are grabbable or whatever.
And that's something I really like, that they you can see that it's taken from Death Stranding, right? It's
I didn't know Death Stranding had that.
Well, Death Stranding has not the accessibility setting, sorry, but the pulse. The pulse was, and it's because they use the same tech. So Kojima used Decima to make Death Stranding, and Decima is the engine, the Horizon engine, and you can see that they ported back the pulse, which is of course very a big part of Death Stranding. They ported it back into this game, and I thought that's super clever. Why not? It's if the tech is there and if it works and it fits with the focus, why not do that? And so I thought that was a clever move.
This setting, you could bypass the pulse, is what I'm saying. You could just go into the setting, turn it on, and it's always on.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah,
that's really
which
great.
I thought was great.
Yeah, especially for climbing, it makes a difference every now and then. The other ones that I really appreciated is just like very granular difficulty modifiers, like from auto aim, and
they even have
slowing down the weapon wheel and stuff like
motion,
that.
Motion controls.
Motion aim,
very good.
And then the other one that I've never seen, and I really think is going to be helpful for a very specific group of people, is you can disable tinnitus sounds.
Oh, that's good. I have tinnitus,
which obviously, so basically, you can remove that from the game.
Yeah, it's like the high pitched sounds or something get removed, so it doesn't bother you.
I didn't notice that. Thank you for the heads up. The one that's missing, though, The Last of Us 2 had a really cool mode where when you walk close to a thing, it auto picks up. That needs to be added. I love that.
I turned that on The Last of Us.
I turned it on too. I just love seeing the animation too. When you're walking and you're hiding and you're just like, oh, they reach out, grab something, and now you have more ammo.
You can also, I think, in Horizon as well, if you're walking around and you walk into stealth grass, you get a very subtle force feedback as well. Mm-hmm. So you can actually, if you don't see well, you can kind of use other clues. Yeah, very good.
Should I try to finish the first game before I jump into this one, or like watch a video of the story? Or
there's a video.
It shows the story very well at the start of the game.
Yeah, you can.
The onboarding is like, I thought it was really, really good because
really well
as someone who played the first game but have terrible memory, I can't remember like names of people or locations. It helped jog my memory. Like as soon as they started recalling things, I'm like, oh yeah, I remember. Now I remember that. That kind of thing. It didn't feel so I think it's great for onboarding people.
Yeah, especially the first part of the game just sort of like brings you on like a best hits sort of like video and like short trip. Mm-hmm. So you visit some of the locations from the first game that were very important.
Yeah.
And one of them actually has a new very important development. So even if you haven't played the first one, that location still has the same feeling of this big important place.
Okay.
So like they set you up basically. If you haven't played the first Horizon, they set you up with pretty much the same feeling. Mm-hmm. As the first one, and they obviously like pull back to like themes and video stuff and like characters and everything. So
the game has I think more than 20 hours of cutscenes, which is crazy.
I'm not surprised.
Wow, they ported that back from Kojima as well. Wild.
Yeah, like there was a lot of work. The cinematics team was busy.
And it's exceptionally good. It's really it's well done.
Yeah, very beautiful. And the lighting, so the characters are lit, like backlit in this really subtle way. So what they've done, I think, is every character that's in a cutscene or even outside, I'm not sure, but they have like a backlight. So you see the edge glow kind of around them, so they stand out from the environment without doing weird other effects, if you know what I mean. And it's really beautiful. Yeah, very well
done. It's preposterously pretty.
Yeah. The colors.
I'm downloading it right now, so I think it's one of the things I might dig into. Actually,
you should.
Have you seen how they celebrated the launch of this game in Saudi Arabia?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Wait, I missed it. Tell me about it.
There's this video on the internet, man. That's really cool.
The marketing budget is crazy of this game,
right? They project an image on like this giant rock, which is like in a touristic spot in Saudi Arabia. But the real cool thing is that they have like a formation of drones with like a blue light at the bottom of the drone. And then those drones, they just they fly, and then their formation change. And as they get into position, they create different shapes. So they start off by putting the logo of the game in Arabic.
Yeah.
And then it's like the PlayStation symbol.
Wow.
and then it's like the triangle square thing, and then they put like even Gorilla Studio they make the logo as well, and with the drones.
Very
That
cool.
was that's super. I've never seen anything like this before. Actually, super
That's
impressive.
incredible.
The drone shows are really, really fun, and they also, they're now scary to me as well. But they're also just really, really impressive. You know that in some places they're replacing fireworks with drone shows.
Oh, that's super. That's better, I guess.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
much better.
Yeah.
I never
So
liked
much better.
fireworks. It's just noise, and I don't want to hate
Yeah.
on it, but it's not for me. Me and dogs. We don't.
I like fireworks.
No, I like drones. I know why you're afraid of drones. They're obstacles now.
Hey, I
So-
don't think fireworks play well with planes either.
No,
Or drones,
again-
for that matter.
I'll be very honest. I fly my drone on New Year's sometimes, and I fly through fireworks, and it's fine.
wait. You actually fly through? I want to see that footage. That sounds incredible.
Oh, it's beautiful. It's beautiful. You have to be careful, obviously, because your firework goes up, and if it shoots a drone out of the sky, you've got a 200-gram thing falling from the sky, which is unpleasant. But I fly with only a very light drone, 249 grams, so it shouldn't do any damage anywhere. But yeah, it's beautiful footage.
Wow. And before we move on from Horizon, there's a thing that I wanted to ask both. Since we have Rami and Ahmed, we have two representing the Netherlands here. How was the reception of the game in the Netherlands? Like that must have been everybody, like the talk of everybody, right?
Yeah, I mean the gamers love it. The Dutch gamers do for sure.
Right.
Yeah.
But it's not like celebrated like it's everywhere, like billboards and stuff like that in the city.
Oh no, there was more attention for this on Times Square than there was in the Netherlands.
Oh, okay.
But that's also kind of the Netherlands. Like, don't get me wrong, they did a good campaign here, and it was on TV, like ads, and there was
news
interviews
articles,
and
yeah.
stuff like that. Yeah, news articles. I was in an interview for it.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah.
You were in an interview for it.
Right? Yeah,
Yeah.
they needed a non-guerrilla game developer to speak about the game because they wanted to balance out the article. So
That's cool.
I ended up talking about the game. Yeah, it was fun. They were good about it, but you got to remember, this is a tiny country.
Hmm.
Right. It is like not even 20 million people. It's in a language that only those 20 million people speak. So marketing here really just doesn't pay off as aggressively as it does in other places.
Yeah.
Right. You market in Saudi Arabia, in Saudi, and you get the entire Arab region.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's true.
Right. You market on Times
London.
Square, you get the world. The London subway had stuff up. You
Yeah.
get the English speaking world in Europe. Like the Netherlands, you get the 7,000, we call them Kaskel, but the cheese eaters. You get the cheeseheads, and that's about it.
Yeah, it's a shame that it's not marketed better there. But the gamers love it, but also the Dutch are very old school. Like it's a bit of an old school country in the sense that people still talk about violence in games and things like that, which is silly. Like
that's getting better.
yeah.
I will admit that the last few years.
but it's like
It's recent though.
yeah, recent, because every game we've shipped in Holland, there's always been when I was there's always been people that surface that discussion when we shipped at Guerrilla, and it's like it's always the annoying thing where the executive producers and whatever needs to go up and defend games when we ship a game,
Wow.
which is a
Really
shame.
raining on your parade.
Yeah,
That didn't happen this time, from what I can tell. I was in touch with some of the team, and I mean, all the interviews I've seen have talked about like the cultural impact, economical impact, the opportunities for the country, and sort of like the scale of this production.
yeah, it's big. It's the biggest media production ever. And by the way, Guerrilla has been doing that like three times in a row. Like
Right, in a row.
like they've been.
But this time
topping
they're
themselves.
kind of catching up, which is nice.
Yeah.
Like the media is kind of catching up on that. Like one of the questions I got in my interview, like, so how big is Aloy? And I sat there for a moment. I was like, I guess it's the most famous Dutch character
Yeah, true. Yeah.
ever made
Yes.
across all media.
Wow.
Yeah, that is definitely. Yeah.
Right, like
Yeah.
Aloy, like she's on Times Square, she's in the London Met, she's everywhere. Like what else?
Yeah, no, you're
What other
right. But
Dutch thing?
stated like that, that's huge. I never didn't
It's
stop
like
to think
Right.
about
Paul
it.
Verhoeven
Paul Verhoeven would be your other option,
like
right?
what did he do? Like really
Like a RoboCop.
RoboCop or something? But yeah,
RoboCop might
RoboCop. Yeah.
be yeah,
Yeah, that might be a number two, but it's
right.
but I like before we stop talking about the game though, I do want to talk about the design of it though. Like it does,
Okay.
I mean, it's great. The game is amazing, and again, and I think like with games, the reception or any entertainment product, I think there's this level where you when you go through it, like when you go through that level, people start forgiving like all the problems in the product, and I think Zelda it happens in Zelda too. Like for instance, a lot of people had problems with the weapon endurance system or whatever it's called, but because it's Zelda and because it kind of breaks through those clouds or the barrier or whatever, people just start forgiving everything. And
There's
and
no
this
problems
game,
in Zelda, man. What are you talking about?
there you go. But so this game, like it is really great, but on the design side, there are some things like for instance the health system. I have like I loved it at first until I started counting the amount of systems in there, and it's like you have a health system and you have berries and then you have a berry pouch and then you have an inventory with berries and then you have a stash with berries and then you have food and then you have potions and you can carry 3 potions and it's like, so when you compile all that, you're like, why does it have so many health systems?
You're right.
It's a very maximalized system.
Yeah.
Honestly, the approach to it.
Like
Okay,
why?
so you're right. Like elegance is usually something that game designers go after, but there are people who like managing these things. And what I loved about Horizon specifically is that there's an option to bypass the whole health system by auto healing,
But
and that just
why
takes
put
care
it
of it
in
for you.
then? Like that's
I mean, you're not wrong. Like elegance is usually what people are going after. But I mean, let's say during production they made the decision for whatever reason and they're stuck with it, and then at the end, because that's usually how it goes. Usually, how it goes is these things are not decided at the beginning and executed as all of you on the call know. There's something that was decided.
Wait, what? We don't know what we're doing? What?
I mean, game design is iterative. You come up with decisions, and then some of them go wrong, and then you come up with other ones to fix those ones, and then at the end, it looks like patchwork, and you're like, okay, how do we make this cohesive? Like that's how it works out.
My favorite thing is when you get kids, like very young kids, when they imagine what making a game is like, that they'll draw situations from the game in like a book.
Yeah.
And they'll just go like, so if you press this button, then you have to go to, and then they'll go through the book and they'll show you another page.
Yeah.
And it made way more sense when it was like adventure stories and stuff. But now with like
RPGs
all these very big real-time RPGs, the books just get so complicated. You know, they have like little. I think every game designer has a book like that, right?
Yeah.
Like where they try to make a game by just writing
guide,
a book,
writing a guide.
or
Yeah. The instruction book is the game design document, right?
Yeah.
But it is a great game, and so I don't want to like criticize it.
No, for sure.
It's great.
Well, you can criticize a great game.
Yeah, of course.
That's
It's,
fine.
Absolutely.
The thing is,
Habibis.
the thing is, like, often think for every game development, and especially like longer one, that there is like Osama was saying earlier, that you never know how the game is going to end up looking like. It's because you start off with or like you can see the potential of the things that have been cut or removed, or you didn't have the time to do, and all of that. That's what Osama was talking about earlier. There's something like that in almost every game development, in which like you start off with the ideal case situation, and you have the paper designs and the books written and all of this, and then you start making the game, and then you discover what systems work, what systems don't, what prototypes prove that these work with each other anymore or not. But also, like, the realities of development hit with the time, the constraints,
COVID.
and all of that stuff, and stuff gets cut. And eventually, sometimes, like, 3 to 4 years along the way, you might look at a design to see, I don't remember why we even had this, or this now doesn't make any sense. It did make sense 2 years ago when these 2 other systems were there.
Exactly.
But they were removed or cut for whatever reason, and now they're there, making the system seem like it's odd or incomplete or whatever reason.
Yeah.
But I will say, like, I think the thing that Ahmed is saying, and it's a feeling I have about Horizon, is that very often we design by subtraction,
Yeah.
right? And I
Yeah.
feel like Horizon, pretty aggressively across many of its systems,
It's just adding,
designed by
yeah,
addition,
add,
right?
Yeah.
And
and
it's not a common thing, and it makes it an interesting game that way for me. I also agree with Ahmed that it feels somewhat inelegant,
and
right? And I sort of have a natural response to inelegance as a
and
designer.
it's also not the only system, like you said, like the skill tree. I feel is like that too, because there's a lot of skills in there that say no. Like you unlock them,
Right.
but they only are valid with a certain weapon or a certain outfit, and it feels like there's more than 200 skills in the game, and a lot of them, or some of them, let's say, I'm not going to say a lot of them, but some of them don't work. So you can unlock them, but then they only work if you use a certain type of loadout, like a very specific one. So there's stuff like that where it feels like
That's
people
complexity
have,
instead of depth.
yeah, exactly. And that's exactly my point there. Like you kind of hit it on the nail. It feels that complexity was confused for depth at some point. And that's the bit that I think, if this game would have had a razor, like in the last 6 months, somebody would have taken a razor and just honed it a bit, it would have been like past the 90.
That's rough though, because it's the kind of thing where, especially nowadays, especially for these kind of prestige games, people just expect a certain amount of stuff.
Content, yeah. But it has
Stuff,
content. Like
right?
the world is
No,
great and big.
I believe you. I mean, I'm at the start of the game, but like it's the kind of thing where I've started to see this in more places. You know, like in live service games, it's like 500 currencies, and it's like,
why
do we need them? And it's like, well, no, you know, but then they can't reuse the old currency to get the new stuff, and it's like, I guess that's true, but also there must be a better way of dealing with this.
True.
I'm about to go into Destiny 2 and dismantle like 14,000 gunsmith materials that I have, and in like steps of 100, because that currency is going with the Witch Queen with the new expansion. They're streamlining a lot of their systems, but it means that all those old tokens I have for this one vendor are going to go out of the game. So I'm just going to
use them.
I'm going to use them now. Yeah,
that sounds like a job. Like
I'm not looking forward to that one. I'll be very honest,
but it's
what am I going to do?
Yeah, it is a great game, and I think everyone should buy it. If you have a PS5, definitely buy it. PS4, it runs great as well. So
I was shocked at how well it ran on a PS4.
Yeah, the tech team over there is just incredible. They've got, I think, like I've worked inside games and outside games. By far, the best engineers I've ever worked with are at Guerrilla. Like by far, there's no comparison.
I love that we're at the end cycle for the PlayStation 4, and we're at the point where people can really pull out all the stops on what you can actually do with that device.
Yeah.
My God, that was a powerful games console.
It really was.
And it didn't look like an airplane jet, which is
it sounded like one. It sounds like one.
It sounded like one.
Is this what Sony is doing? They're like, if you combine all our PlayStations together, you get a functioning airplane. Because I'm all for it.
Or they just up the decibels until you get the new PlayStation.
Right. I cannot believe with all due respect to all the incredible people at PlayStation, I don't know what happened with the PS5 to justify its design. Like, wild.
It's really one of those things that look good in isolation on its own, and that's still my opinion. Like if you,
it doesn't look good in isolation.
I disagree. I think as a thing,
it looks really good if you put it in a car commercial where you don't actually see the full device. But there's that kind of a line going over a curve.
It looks
but that's
acceptable.
What I mean.
It looks acceptable if you Photoshop it to the skyline of Dubai. That's like the only way it works.
Burj Khalifa, PlayStation 5. Exactly. There we go.
But that's what I mean. I mean, it has aesthetically pleasing qualities to it. It's not like a revolting.
Even
what is this?
My mom said that it was ugly.
My
mom
is,
I've never heard my mom.
Rami, you understand that these things are subjective, right? I'm just saying.
Never. I have never heard my mom say that anything was ugly in her entire. Never. In my life, Wallahi, I've never heard her say, not even once, that something is ugly. And she has seen some stuff in her life. And she gets the PlayStation 5 box. And she looks at the box and it has that zoomed in photo of it. And she's like, it looks nice. And she pulls it out of the box and she looks at it and she goes, oh, it's ugly. And that's when I knew that they had messed up, because I have never heard my mom do anything like
What
that.
I was going to say,
if the PS5 had the mom, it will also say it's ugly. This is how ugly it is.
Anyway, we'll agree to disagree. What I was saying is that in context, it's ludicrous. Like, it does not make sense in anyone's living room. I've never seen a living room where the PlayStation would fit. So
mine is hidden behind my TV.
Yeah, you better hide it, right? Well, like my Xbox, it's invisible. Like, it's just a black box. You don't see it, that's what I want. I don't want to be reminded that my consoles are there. I want to see whatever they display on the screen. So
Microsoft, we're still open for sponsorships.
Keep it up. We'll get sponsored by them someday.
Yeah.
So anyway, I'm downloading Horizon.
I like that Fausti's transitions are just like short pause. Anyway.
This is media training. He's a master.
Okay.
Because if I'm doing the segue, we're gonna need to stop and talk about it. So that's
talk about the segue.
Anyway. I played something else other than Horizon.
Oh.
Yeah, so
there are other games.
There are other games. I'll be playing Horizon next week. Hopefully, we'll talk about it some more. I played 2 games. One we spoke about on the show that we covered already. I started playing the new Pokemon, Pokemon Legends.
Yes.
Arceus.
Yes,
Arceus.
that one.
Pokemon.
Yeah,
That one. It's really good. It's like really.
I wasn't
really
just making some. Stuff.
That's what Rami said. It's really good.
I like that you sound surprised. That's the part that's gonna be. You're like, it's just really good. Like, Rami said it was good, so I just expected a trash fire.
No, not at all.
But it's good. It's good.
Rami, I'm surprised because this game really breaks a lot of Pokemon traditions.
It's Pokemon 2, actually. I heard somebody call it Pokemon 2, and I was like,
wow.
Yeah, that's true.
It's like I don't know how long has Pokemon existed now? 30 years.
It's been the same
probably
ever.
Yeah, 30 years. It's always been like very similar. Even when like they make the Let's Go Eevee, Let's Go Pikachu, there were still remakes of the first one. It looked gorgeous in 3D, but it was still pretty much the same stuff.
Mm.
And like I like Pokemon, but I played it enough. I feel so going into this one, and because of Rami talking so much about this one, I was like, I'm gonna pick this one up and play it. And I started playing it, and I was very surprised about really how many Pokemon traditions they break. Actually, it's open world Pokemon, really, for what it is, and and as if like the collection aspect of the game wasn't addictive enough to begin with. They've added so much stuff for the Pokédex that make you want to do more stuff. So like there's the research things that you need to do to clarify the Pokédex entry. So now not only have you need to find the Pokemon once, you need to find the Pokemon many times. See the Pokemon. Capture this number of Pokemons.
I've started calling it Pokemon Hunt. Because it feels a bit like Monster Hunter in that regard. Like,
there is a bit of that, yeah.
Right. I got a very Monster Hunter-y vibe, and it was I like it.
Yeah.
Except for that Pichu and the Geodude. Those two can just go to hell. Pichu keeps running away from me.
They all keep running away. But you need to throw a fruit or something to to distract them, and then sneak on the Pokemon and throw the ball. Do you see how much changes they've did? Like you actively have to throw the item, you actively have to sneak, you actively have to attack.
Throw the Pokeball from behind.
Yeah, Exactly. Hide between grass and like pull a fast one on a Pokemon.
Right. So, now I'm confusing. Now I'm confusing Horizon and Pokemon, and he's going like, and then
You have to shoot parts off
do a
the Pokemon.
silent kill. Just when like you have like the ponytail, and you just like stick that spear right in the. Oh no, wait,
shoot parts off of the Pokemon's
Also-
head and then capture it.
That's
Some
funny.
of these Pokemons are terrifying,
Oh yeah.
right? Now that they attack me, I'm like, oh no.
They attack you directly. I think I was going like
Right.
very early in the game, going across the field, like I'll do some like chill exploration, and then I come across a fiery eye. What's the ponytail Pokemon name? Ponita, exactly.
Yeah.
But it's much bigger than all the regular Ponitas, and they have fire in their eyes. And I'm like, okay, I'm gonna try to hide. I throw a Pokemon at it from the back. I'm getting
Level 45.
I'm getting Hitman flashbacks of me trying to be smart. And so I'm trying to sneak on the Ponyta from behind, and then of course it sees me, and then there's even more fire coming out of its eyes, and it's charged me directly. I was like, I didn't even give me a time to bring out the Pokemon to fight it back. Does damage directly to your character. You also can produce a Pokemon. You need to actively choose which Pokemon to engage in a combat. These are radical changes in the Pokemon formula. That just makes it feel so fresh, so new.
Isn't narratively as well? Isn't it kind of set in the time before Pokemon were domesticated? So that's why they justify attacking people and stuff. Yeah. So they changed the narrative
exactly.
as well.
Even the act of capturing Pokemons was still a new thing, so to say. So when you are going out and catching all these Pokemons, you're like, oh wow, you caught 3 in a row. What an amazing person that we need to include them. And it's like the army kind of conducting this whole operation. It's like, we need to understand these Pokemon so we can catch them and stuff. This kind of stuff is happening. It's really cool.
Because Pokeballs are brand new, right? Like Pokeballs have just been invented.
They're handcrafted in this world.
Right.
So these Pokeballs, it's makeshift, but they're effective.
Also, I do. Did you also because that was a moment where I was like, it means that the Pokeball doesn't actually do anything.
It's
the Pokemon shrinks itself down.
Yeah, the Pokemon shrinks itself.
The Pokemon shrinks itself into it. I always thought that the Pokeball had a technology that sucked the Pokemon in.
Same.
But apparently, if you throw a wooden ball against the Pokemon's head, it will try to go in there.
Same. Wow.
Very wild.
It was a lot of things, and also the setting of the game seems to be
Japan or something like feudal Japan.
Feudal Japan kind of era, which is a really new thing. For also the Pokemon series to some extent, but also very interesting aesthetic, generally speaking.
Because all Pokemon have been in present day so far, right? They haven't really done any time traveling, or have they?
Not that I know of.
The main character seems to time travel. That's all I know.
And also teleport everywhere.
Right.
But what I like what you just said about the army thing, because that was always kind of my or that weirded me out a bit, was the dissonance kind of that everybody, they all talk about, oh, you have a Pokemon and it's your friend, and then you go into the world and you catch 1,000, and it's but the characters in the world don't. And I guess now they try to kind of explain it, I guess, which is nice, the dissonance.
Do you think Arab Pokemon trainers get in trouble if they have a Voltorb?
I don't know what a Voltorb looks like. I'm sorry.
It's like a Pokeball. It's a Pokemon, but really the only attack it has, I think, is self-destruct, where it just explodes.
I don't think that.
Every time I think about Pokemon in the real world, it just gets bad. I've never thought about Pokemon and the real world, and then go yeah, that'll be good.
I think the real life Arab Pokemon would be Pidgeot, because I don't know if you remember those, Rami, but in Arab world, there's these pigeon trainers, and they're so good. at like
Yeah,
making
right.
pigeon fly in a certain direction or come back to a certain place, and like have their pigeons attack the other dude's pigeons because he's also trying to fly them over. Like one person once explained it to me is that one of the pigeon trainer makes the pigeons fly in circles around the same time. And the other trainer would try to make, and this is not Pokemon, this is the Arab world here. The other trainer gets the pigeons to fly in the air, and then they try to get the both flocks to intersect, so that they see how many pigeons gets confused from one flock to follow the other.
They're stealing pigeons midair.
Wow.
It's pretty much there. So,
Wow.
like, at the end of the day, one of the trainers would just basically gain pigeons at the end of it. And the next day, the other person starts to get some more pigeons back, and like the better the lead pigeon is trained to influence other pigeons to follow it into a flock, the better the trainer is.
It's exactly like marbles. It's exactly the game of marbles, but with pigeons.
It's pigeons, and like they usually fly pigeons around sunsets, and in the Middle East you probably see that a lot. Like the flocks of pigeons flying around the cities is usually those Pokemon trainers, just like they're like going in for their evening duels.
They're like,
Wow.
they're like, if I have 10 extra pigeons, it's dinner.
Yeah, I never got why people eat pigeons. They're not that delicious. I tried. It's not
never
like, I
had.
don't get it.
Don't have
and
interest in
Hamam.
trying.
Hamam.
They're commonly eaten in the Middle East. In Egypt, I think
Yeah.
it's a common dish.
Yeah, my grandma will make stuffed pigeon all the
Yeah.
time.
Yeah.
Does it taste like
it's-
quail? Because I like quail.
It's kind of gamey, like a pigeon.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah,
gamey. Yeah, it's pretty gamey.
Yeah,
Bird.
it's a bit gamey, and they stuff it with like bulgur and mince, and it's quite nice.
Yeah.
I like it.
It's good. Yeah, I like
It's
it.
just that there's not a lot of pigeon on a pigeon, so you have to eat like 5 of them. Yeah.
And
My grandma kept pigeons, and then she would also make pigeon, and it was always a little confusing to me as a kid. I guess that's where food comes
Kind
from.
of like the berry bag in Horizon Zero Dawn.
Right.
Yeah, cool.
I could talk briefly about the other game I played quickly because
There's more.
there's one more game. I played a bit of Oli Oli World.
Oh, I'm excited about that one.
Oh.
I haven't tried it yet.
Yeah,
Anissa's
I-
games, right?
yeah. Anissa worked on this, I think.
You were right about Fuzzy's voice, Osama. Yeah, just now. Yeah, that's exactly right.
Only when
this
he's
kind of
excited,
game, guys.
apparently.
Right.
At the end
But
of the,
Anissa did work on Ollie World, right?
at the
Yeah,
end of the
Anissa did
podcast
work on
when I
it.
lose my voice. I'm a big fan of skating. I like to skate and stuff. So, like, I've always been a fan of the Oli Oli games. So, Oli Oli 2 for me was a really, really fun game that I've always had installed on my PS. It's one of those, like, I have 10 minutes, I'll just do a couple of Oli Oli runs. And Oli Oli World is no different. It successfully, I think, takes the game to. It adds a lot of different mechanics. So, like in the previous game, like it's side scrolling, so you can go from one side to the other, and it's you have to do those button combinations to get the tricks in place, and you got to do the trick into jump into a manual. So it's kind of like an on rails platformer, so to say, but you do it with skating. And if you can do it without platforming, just doing it by connecting tricks to each other, you get a lot more points. And in this game, in addition to the traditional analogs and jumps and backflips and grinds, they've added wall grinds. So you can jump into a
3D.
grind, into a wall grind, into another grind, down the stairs, into a trick. So like they've added 3 to 4 extra elements of complexity so that you can chain those tricks together. So it becomes in order for you to like really pull a lot of tricks together, a lot of points together, and to put these things close, it takes a lot of concentration and very rewarding when you really pull it off. Very zen as you're playing it.
And it's the first 3D one, isn't it? So the other ones
It
were
is.
2D. And how did
That's
they
true.
take it into 3D? What's the did they
It's
pull
still
it
like
off?
it's a cartoony looking 3D, so that from the art style point of view, and the camera angle is still the same. So it's still like 3D aesthetic, but the gameplay feels very 2D.
Oh, okay.
They've used it mechanically in which like this time there's like sometimes there's some areas there's tracks in the foreground and the background, and you can switch in between them.
Aha, okay.
Think of like foreground, background, like old school Fatal Fury, in which like you jump from one dimension to the other, but there's
Yeah.
still 2D dimensions each of them.
Oh, cool.
Right.
Yeah.
And that kind of adds extra dimension. So sometimes like you'd be on the track, and then there's like the jump, the area where you can go into the other dimension, and that other track usually is more tricky.
So it's like a difficulty bump or something.
So you do the difficulty jump, and then you go in, and then you're like doing a bunch of extra tricks. So like it's harder on that track.
Cool.
So it's pretty interesting that way.
Are you playing it on Switch, or what are you playing it on?
I played it on PC actually.
Okay.
It's pretty fun on PC.
Is it on Switch?
I think it is. I think it's
I
on.
think it is on Switch. Yeah.
Switch, PS4, Xbox, and PC. I think they went all out.
Okay.
So, Fauzi,
Yes.
King of Fighters 15 is out.
Is it?
Ah, is it?
Oh
Yes. Oh, Ahmed, do you play fighting games too?
wow! I do.
All right, I challenge you both.
Oh,
I just
God.
bought it. I haven't played it yet, but I ordered a new fight stick because my old fight stick is a generation too old to work on these new consoles. And
Which
so
one did you buy?
I have to actually look it up. I don't remember. I did a lot of research on which ones are good, and then I can't remember which one I landed on. But I'll tell you in a second. Amazon orders. I got a Mayflash F500.
Oh,
And the reason I got it, now I remember. Yeah, because it was the highest rated one that works both for the PS5 and for the Xbox Series X.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, I didn't want to get multiple joysticks, and that seems to be the best one that works on both.
And so, do you, Fauzi? Do you also play with stick, or do you play with pad?
I play both. So I'd rather stick, but I have a pad. But I also have a fighting game pad. So
No.
I use that too.
You're cheating.
That's not cheating. It's officially accepted in all tournaments. I looked it up.
Tournaments that Fauzi runs, by the way. Just so you know.
You don't need to fact check me on that one.
Only I can play my tournament with this pad. You all play with sticks.
I have one more question that I think Osama brought up the other day, and I want to throw it back in because I think it's done soon. The Capcom countdown is still going.
Street Fighter.
13 hours away.
Yeah, that's
what is it?
Everyone believes it's Street Fighter 6 at this point.
Yeah.
And
Street
the
Fighter
reason
6? Maybe it's a Resident Evil?
that's what I originally thought. I thought it was Resident Evil until someone pointed out that the Capcom Cup ends today, and this is not the first time that they announce a Street Fighter or a collection of Street Fighter or something at the end of a Capcom Cup, because they play it's a Street Fighter event, right? So I think it would be a stretch to expect a Resident Evil at this point, but that was my initial thought as well.
No, you're right. If it's at the end of the Capcom Cup, it will be a Street Fighter 6 probably.
Yeah, which is exciting.
But that begs the question: what's your favorite Street Fighter for everyone here?
Third Strike for sure, hands down.
For me, it's hard to get over the second one.
Yeah.
Second is the best, but the one I played the most is 4 probably.
4, yeah.
Yeah, same 4 for me.
4 over 5, of course, and
4 over 5 for sure.
Yeah,
I prefer 5. I thought 4 was very defensive.
Yeah, look, we don't have time for this. We're an hour in. This is great for a future episode of the Habibis. I don't want to edit 3 hours of podcast, and I know where this discussion is going.
Yes, it's nowhere.
Let's put a Doyle in, but before we do that,
on the fight stick.
put a Doyle on the fight stick. Ahmed, where can people find you?
You can find me on Twitter. Just type my name, and you'll find me there. I post sometimes on Facebook and all the places. But yeah,
I'll link it in the show notes as well. So
I tried.
Dramatism, isn't it?
Yes, I tried to.
Inshallah, there will be show notes.
I try to not be active on social media. I actively try to be not active, but let's see how that goes.
Let's see how it goes.
What a smart man. Subhanallah, what a smart man. I wish I was more like you, yeah.
And I felt that, Jab Rabbi. I put show notes in the last episode. I only missed the 3-4 ones before that, but I got the last one.
Inshallah, there will be show notes, is all I said.
What are you talking about? We're professionals here.
Anyway, come on.
But maybe not a podcast.
Sure sounds like it.
Not a podcast,
Sure sounds
but
like
we are professionals at other things.
Yeah. And if you follow me on Twitter, you'll just see a bunch of Horizon Forbidden West. So if you want
That's
to see
all I'm seeing now anyway.
Yeah,
So.
exactly. It's all internet.
Exactly.
And congrats! I want to say a big congratulations to the team in Amsterdam. They did amazing.
We'll join you for that.
And also
Yes.
at home, like they did this from home, and
Wow.
it's incredible. The last 2 years they've been at home, so I'm amazed. I'm amazed and in awe and proud. So yeah.
Yeah. Congrats to the
Mabruk.
gorillas.
Congrats to the gorillas. That's it for today's episode. Join us next week for more Habibis, but for the time being, salam.
Bye bye.
Salam.
Salam.
That was the Habibis podcast for this week. I am Fawzi Masmar, your host for this episode. You can find me on Twitter at Fawzi Masmar. My fellow Habibis were Osama Dorias, who you can find on Twitter at Osama Dorias, and Rami Ismail, who you can find on Twitter at THA_Rami. Send us your questions, stories, and suggestions via info@thehabibis.com. Intro and outro music was provided by Malik Zubayla, and the logo was provided by Ibrahim Hamdi. The Habibis is a weekly podcast about 3 game developers drinking good Arab tea, with new episodes launching every Friday, inshallah. If you enjoyed the show, don't forget to subscribe to your favorite podcasting service, or check out thehabibis.com for more information. Thank you for listening. Salam.